AFTV 3-2, a perfect end to the group stages of the Champions League. Next to the next round, top the group. Do you think a lot of the other teams around Europe are going to be looking at it and thinking, yeah, don't really fancy playing Arsenal, man, at least not until later on in this tournament, because they are got a very, very good side?
Yeah, look, I think you've got to look at the side that finished top of the league and look at how they did that. In the league with set pieces, own goals, and that's fine. But then you look in this competition, and we've had a really solid result against an Atletico Madrid side that everyone thought would low block us to death, and we wouldn't be able to create anything. An Inter Milan side that went to the final last season, and a Bayern side that have tormented us for however many years. So when you look at it in that context, I don't think you can really look at it and worry about anyone else. Last year we got over the Real Madrid hoodoo. The Barcelona one, probably the one that's hanging over us, and then possibly one of the English sides a little bit later in the tournament. Particularly if you're in a situation where again you're still fighting for the league, and then those games those games occur. That's when it can potentially be challenging. But at this stage, for me, I think other sides are looking at us going. And I saw some tweets from some Barcelona fans talking about how poorly they defend corners and just like keep Arsenal away from us for as long as possible. And I think that, I think that's going to be, I think if we were to play Bayern, for example, I think they'd have a hoodoo from what happened. If we were to play Atletico Madrid, same sort of situation. I don't think Inter would want to play us again either. So I don't think there's any side that's looking at us going, if we've got to pick a side, it's Arsenal's the side that we want to pick. So yes, I think.
You think a lot of teams will fear Arsenal this season? Yeah. In this Champions League.
Yeah, and I think with good reason. Like I said, I think if you go back and look at how we've performed in the tournament this year, faultless. It's been faultless. I mean, you wouldn't expect a Real Madrid side to lose to Benfica today and not end up in the top 8. It's a new format. People are still working it out. We did well last year. We've improved on that this year. Everyone is always talking about how Arsenal have regressed in this and regressed in that and regressed. And actually, we've progressed, and we've set a record now that we now want to take into the last stage of the tournament.
You know what I have to remind a lot of people? It is about going this season one step further. People forget we did actually get to the semi-final last year and lost to the eventual winners. So it's not like this team's a million miles off of it. It's about going that next step, isn't it?
Yeah, look, and I think for me, a lot of what we did in the summer sought to address some of those issues. I think if you go back and look at the bench that we took, when we went to the Bernabeu, we got through the game, but there wasn't anyone on the bench that was going to come on and change the game. So the 11 players that started were the players that you were expecting to see the game through. Again, same with the PSG performance today. You're short, and you want to try and change stuff, and you can't change it because you don't have the players to do so. I think today we've seen Havertz come in. We've barely seen Havertz this season, and we've seen the quality that he brings to this side, and kind of how he just lifts the performance. Mosquera, I thought it was quality today. I thought Norgard came in and was silently absolutely,
brilliant flick for that goal. Yeah.
Look, I live here, mate. I mean, going back to just before the Christmas period, we had that game, we had that week where I think we played Wolves and I think we played Brentford, and he didn't touch the pitch. And I mean, the reality of not going out and getting someone like a Lucien Agume in the summer is because you're bringing in a Norgard who's Premier League proven, doesn't need to adjust to the league, can kind of help Zubimendi settle in, and then you don't use him. But when he's come in, he's played at centre half, he's played centre midfield. He's come in and he's done a job. He's done exactly what you would expect from, and we were getting that from Jorginho. We were getting it from El Neni. So the big criticism of Arteta has obviously been this issue around squad management, and Norgard's probably the biggest case, because it's the one where you sit there and go at 5 million, it's an absolute steal if you use him in the right way. But if you flog Zubimendi to death, and then you've got to play Norgard for the last 4 months of the season because Zubimendi does a hamstring or he tears a thigh muscle because he's adjusting to the pace of a league that he's not adjusted to, then you've got an issue. So these are the sorts of games where you want a Norgard to come in. When I saw Saka warming up, I was like, why is that boy even, why is he not in his thermals?
Well, listen, you touch on that, right? And the good thing about tonight for Mikel Arteta is he hasn't had to play Saka, he hasn't had to play Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. No Marino, no Declan Rice. That means they should be able to go into Saturday pretty fresh. Even when you look at it, Leeds played last night. We've played. Sorry, no. Leeds played Monday night, so it's not like they've had a complete week off. So it's a big game at the weekend. You know what I mean? We've done the business in this, but it's a big game at the weekend. Would you start Havertz?
No. Look, I think when you've lost as much football as he's lost this season, I think you have to manage.
Would you have him on the bench then?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's absolutely on the bench. For me, Gyökeres starts.
Okay. Would you start Eze or Odegaard in that game?
Yeah, I'd probably go Eze. I'd probably go Eze and look to do something a little bit different. I think, again, with the criticism that Odegaard's getting, sometimes you have to take players out of the firing line, sometimes for their own good. I think we said the other day, I can't remember what game it was. It might have been the Inter Milan game, whichever game it was. Eze's on the pitch, the ball moves a bit quicker. You know, today we saw Odegaard and Eze on the pitch at the same time. We don't often see that. So again, these sorts of games are an opportunity to try and do something a little bit different. I think, like I said, we saw a lot more directness that we haven't necessarily seen. I'd probably start Eze in that game, but for me, like you said, a lot of players haven't played today. A lot of players have had a week's rest. There can be no excuses. I think they owe us a performance after Sunday. They owe themselves a performance after Sunday, and it's super important that we use that as an opportunity to get back on track and really drive through this last part of the season. The big thing for us over the next few months is going to be freshness, making sure that when we get to April, when we get to May, we've got a full and fresh and fit squad that we can pick from, where we can then look to utilise that squad as best as possible and look to win as many trophies as we can.
Travelling to away games has never been easier, especially with Rocket Mobile.
Unlimited data, unlimited everything in the UK. When you leave the UK, it's 20 gig of roaming data. Life is very easy.
£16 a month, no hassle.
How you doing?
You're doing all right. And this is what you get in Europe.
Hello. Come on, the others.
Come on, like,
Thank you so much. Leave you the man.